Today's guest was supposed to be a doctor, but instead she dropped out of pre-med, built a seven-figure Amazon business by 24, and now has closed over 60 real estate deals before turning 27. But the part nobody is talking about isn't the deals, it's the system that she's built to run them all at once. This is the Leadway Podcast, episode 211, with me, Chris Rickenbaugh. And if you're hungry to build wealth, escape the W-2, and create a life on your own terms, but nobody around you is talking about how to actually do it, you're in the right place. Every week, I sit down with investors and entrepreneurs who have already done it, breaking down the vehicles, the mindset, and the exact moves that built their wealth. Today, I'm sitting down with Makayla Flood, who went from selling on Facebook Marketplace to running a seven-figure Amazon wholesale operation, and then taking that exact playbook and applying it to real estate investing. Today, we're going to be breaking down those systems behind the 60 plus projects and what those numbers actually look like and where she's building beyond just the flips. So let's get into the episode. All right, so Makayla, you've done 60 plus projects, you're 26, and most investors our age are still trying to close their first deal, but give us the 60-second version of how you were able to get there from pre-med to Amazon all the way to real estate.
I think it's a little bit of hard-headed stubbornness. So when I started pre-med, obviously that track is super competitive. And once I kind of switched gears to Amazon, which was also a super competitive space and a very male dominated industry, I think you have to kind of, I don't know. My favorite thing I like to say a lot is like when your back against the wall, you can do whatever your mind set. Whatever you think you can do, you can definitely do it. So switching to then real estate and then scaling from there, it's just been a crazy ride. And there's been a lot of people along the way that have helped me out using like other people's money, mentors. I pretty much self-taught, but along the way, I've met certain individuals who give me like little pieces of advice. And obviously watching like YouTube, Bigger Pockets, stuff like that, has really been instrumental in my growth.
Yeah, and so like you went through a couple different pivots. So like I kind of want to break down each one. So, you're in college going to pre-med, like what's the breaking point there to where it's like, hey, I have to do something else, and what led you to Amazon?
So I actually got into medical school. I graduated, got into OUH-COM in Athens, Ohio. I ended up having to defer twice because long story short, I have a lot of leg issues and I've had multiple surgeries since then. And so I was set to go down to Athens. I was ready to go. I was doing Amazon at the time, but it was just something kind of just to pay for my bills, obviously the student loans. I could only defer a year. Didn't really anticipate it being like a full-time thing because I wanted to be a doctor. That's what I've wanted to do forever. But then I ended up having another surgery and it didn't go the way it should have. And so that's whenever I guess the breaking point where I sat down and was like, this is what I want to do, but I don't think my body can handle it. And
Hmm.
so that's when I was actually doing Amazon and I was doing really well. I was profiting like $10,000 a month. And so I had that hard decision to make, and I made that leap. And then from there, Amazon was really good to me. I made a lot of money. I into real estate from there. And if I wouldn't have done Amazon, I wouldn't have gotten into real estate as fast as I did. I really wanted to do real estate, but it wasn't something in the forefront. I wanted to graduate medical school. I wanted to pay off student loans, and then obviously I wanted to invest. But this kind of fast tracked me because I had the opportunity to pay off some stuff and have some extra money at the end of the year, and I needed a tax deduction. So I bought my first rental property, and that was 3.5 years ago now. And then was trying to grow my Amazon business. Amazon ended up being real stupid, and so I ended up pulling out all of my money. Everything, I sold off everything, and then I said, what else could I do? And I didn't really want to go back to school because like I said, I just wasn't meant for a 9 to 5. My body just couldn't handle that kind of lifestyle.
Hmm.
So I was like, why not do real estate? I could have a very flexible schedule, just like Amazon. I could work whenever I wanted to. I could work wherever I needed to be. I could have surgeries and stuff, and I didn't have to worry about a boss. So I did Amazon. I said, why not do real estate? So I kind of just full sent it. I had no idea really what I was doing because I only had one
Yeah.
house at that time. But I was like, yeah, I'll do this full time. So that was almost 3 years ago that would be in August would be my third year technically full time.
Yeah, so I want to break into the Amazon. Was that like drop shipping?
No, no, I
Okay.
actually sold the goods. So like I did online arbitrage first, and
Okay.
then I did wholesale. So I was wholesaling like name brand products that people use all the time.
How'd you get
But yeah.
into that?
So because I had to defer from medical school, obviously, like I said, I had
Gotcha.
student loans. I
Hmm.
had to pay for them. And I just happened to, I used to love gaming. And I got the new Xbox when it came out. And one of my friends was like, "Hey, how did you do that?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I just went on there and bought it because it's super competitive."
Yeah.
And so I got one. And then he's like, "Will you get me one? I'll give you like $50." And I'm like, "Sure." Got him one, got his brother one, got their friend one. And so it kind of just started evolving from there. And then I started selling them to other people like on Facebook. And then it led me into eBay. And then I sold a bunch on eBay that year. And then a friend of mine that I met through eBay was also an Amazon seller. And he's like, "Hey, if you like eBay, you'll probably really like Amazon." And so it kind of just like happened. Like I wasn't
Yeah.
anticipating it. That's like the beauty of this stuff is like so many things come out of nothing. Like you have no idea that this is what your life is gonna. Because if you would have asked me 10 years ago, I would have told you I've been a doctor, I would have been living in Florida, like all these things that I've planned. Definitely not. I wouldn't have sold products online. I went to college. Obviously, I graduated with 2 degrees. I don't use those degrees obviously now
I
because
don't
I'm
think a
not.
lot of people do.
No, no, I don't think a lot of people do it. I'm just like look at it and I'm like, yeah. But like if I look back at it, because a lot of people will be like, oh well, I regret it. I don't because genuinely at that point in time I was on a different path, and like I needed that path in order to get to where I wanted to be. But at the end, it just wide off, and so I ended up going a separate direction, and nobody would have ever guessed. So it's kind of cool just to see how things evolve over time, and like what you imagine you're gonna do doesn't really end up being what you're gonna do.
Oh, I know. And I agree completely on college. Like I used college kind of like as the move to be able to get down to North Carolina to try and get into NASCAR. Like if you ask me, a couple years ago in college, I'd be working in NASCAR right now and made a complete pivot. So, and being able to move into the Amazon for you, that was I hear a lot of like successful investors and, business owners tell that same kind of story. Well, I just did this, it made sense, and I kept doing it, and we made money, and, it just turned into this big monster. So yeah, super cool to be able to see your journey and, being able to get into the real estate now. You bought your rental property, you're doing a lot of self-education. Was Bigger Pockets that main driver that was teaching you, or did you hire more mentorship?
No, so I just full sent it. I used Bigger Pockets. I used YouTube, their forum. A lot of it was just self-taught, like learning as you go. Like there's a lot of things that I've learned over the years that like I wouldn't have learned unless I went through it. And like I've lost money because of it. And like
Hmm.
then I'm like, no, I can't do that again. And I don't think that like really clicks with a lot of people until they do actually like lose money or like they have some kind of event where they're like, oh man, like I don't want to do that again kind of thing. So
Yeah.
no mentors or anything. Just like I said, I've had a couple good people along my path that have kind of steered me in the right direction. But like other than that, it's just kind of learn as you go. People ask me like, "Well, how did you learn how to do this?" I don't know. Like I just did it. Like how did I learn how to manage? I think we've got 20, I don't even know. Like we've got 20 some people working for me now. And they're like, "Well, how did you learn how to manage these people?" Because like I have no experience in leading any kind of team or anything. I'm like, I don't know. I just learned as I went. I just kept adding on and adding on. And obviously mistakes were made along the way, but
Yeah.
I just learned as I went.
Yeah, mistakes are how you learn, I think, or learning from other people's mistakes. And that's really just the biggest learning curve. But you mentioned your team. Now you're managing 20 people. What was the scale up to that? Because you started with one rental property. Kind of where did it go from there? How are you finding your deals at that point? And how are you able to do so much volume now?
So it started off with that one, and my goal was just to buy maybe like one or two a year. Then obviously I got into it full time. I bought my second and my third. And I was like, yeah, I really want to do this kind of like for real, for real. So then I bought those two, and then I met actually my main investor. His name's Gautam, and he's helped me a ton over the years. And he ended up helping me buy like four, like back to back. And so that honestly, that period of time has like that rocket shipped me. I mean, it
Yeah, using the
that
BRRRR method or just
yeah.
20%
So
down rentals?
no, all burrs.
Okay.
I try to pull out as much money as possible. Most of my portfolio, I have like $10,000 or less. Some of them I have
Mhm.
zero in, so then obviously it's 100%. But I try my best. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. Sometimes, you have to make that decision. Like, do I want to replace that roof in 5 years or do I want to replace it now? So then I'm like, okay, like I'd rather put, an extra 4 grand into a roof than wait, 5 years down the road and
Right.
may not be the right opportunity. I might not have that reserve. I might be taken by something else, obviously. So I'll put an extra 4 grand into a property if that means that I don't have any maintenance for many years to come, kind of thing.
Yeah. Now finding your crews for the first time, was it all from that private lender or were you just kind of coming in, trying and testing different crews?
This is actually just by chance.
Okay.
The first crew that ended up working for me ended up they actually still work for me today. And the head guy of that company actually is my project manager now. So it just kind of happened. And he, along with myself, learned as we kind of went on. Like he had no experience managing that many people. And now he's got two different crews. He's got multiple people. Oh, somebody's calling me. Multiple people working for him now that didn't work for him. It was just a crew of four when I met him. And
Mhm.
now I think there's like eight of them. So, and then he's managing like six or seven crews too on top of that. So
Wow.
I don't know. He's stuck around. He's stuck around, that's for sure.
So what does the entire team look like today? So obviously there's you at the top, there's crews that are actually working on your projects, there's private lenders, but what does this whole, 20-person team look like all the way from, VAs to construction?
So obviously you got me at the top. You've got my project manager. He has basically like an assistant project manager that helps him as well. He's kind of being molded into Corey's role. His name's Corey, my
Hmm.
project manager. And then Corey is eventually going to take over kind of my role. So that way that I'm still involved in the business, but I'm not making the day-to-day decisions like I used to.
Hmm.
So like they're kind of training each other as they go. And then underneath of them, we have like six or seven different foremen. And then they are overhead of the individual crew. So we've got skilled labor, we've got semi-skilled, and then we've got laborers. So it just depends on the crew. Like we've got a painting crew, a drywall crew. We have two finishing crews, a demo crew, which is led by my mom. Um, we women empowerment in this company.
There you go. Yeah,
And
I've
then
met
we've
a.
got, what else do we have? Painting,
Mhm.
just miscellaneous. So we've got quite a few different people.
Yeah, so you're able to get into these projects at pretty low cost, it sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I control the labor part. And like at this point in time, I know kind of what materials are going to be based on what the job is. Just because
Hmm.
every single project that we do, at bare minimum, we're going to be doing paint, flooring, bathrooms, kitchens. So like I already know in my head, okay, this is how much it costs me to do a bathroom. This is how much it
Hmm.
costs me roughly to do a kitchen, flooring, paint, etc. So it makes it really easy to control your numbers whenever you have experience and you have got the crew like inside house in-house technically.
Yeah, and we mentioned before hopping on the podcast that you're in Ohio right now, but
Mhm.
you've branched out to different markets. So now your time and attention is kind of spread out to those different areas. How have you been able to manage that jump and be able to make sure like, hey, there's still projects going on in all three of these markets at the same time?
I'd be lying if I said it was easy. And I haven't, and there hasn't been issues. The hardest part is trying to keep the same quality in the systems that you have, obviously here, while also trying to build that in a separate location. So, like,
Mhm.
yes, there have been a few balls that have been dropped back here in Ohio because I haven't been able to do certain things. But in that period of time, I figured out, okay, like now I need this person to do this to make sure that this happens before we do photos, before we close on a house, before I refinance and get an inspection done. Whatever it may be, I'm like, okay, obviously it becomes a lot more clear whenever the ball is dropped. obviously you don't want balls to be dropped, but when they do drop, you need to make sure obviously that you're preparing for the next time. Like, oh, okay, like this is what needs to happen. So, but the being down in Georgia honestly hasn't been as hard as I thought, just because I think I've already prepared myself and I've already have
Hmm.
my SOPs here. And then it's just like my business partner would say, it's just like a McDonald's franchise. They just drop it, drop it,
Yeah.
drop it. They just keep dropping locations. Like it's not like they're reinventing the wheel. They have some kind of system and SOPs in place. They drop it in this location and then they hire these people to run this location. And it's just the same thing with real estate. As long as you've got good boots on ground, that's the main thing. People always ask me, how do you do it? How do you trust people? How do you know they're not ripping you off? How do you know XYZ? I get the questions all the time. Well, it's just your boots on ground. You have to have trustworthy people. You have to trust people.
Hmm.
And it's really important to go down there. I was just down there for almost a week. Spent a lot of time with three of the contractors that we've been working with and just seeing their job sites, seeing our job sites, seeing how things flowed. It makes me feel a lot more comfortable and more confident that we're going to be able to do this long term. So I think it's really important to make sure you hire the right individuals. And those people are not going to be people that you hire from the first get-go. I
Yeah.
fired people from Georgia already, and we've not been down. We've only been there for like 2 months, and I fired multiple people, or I have not hired certain individuals. So people think it's just easy, and it's never easy. If it were easy, everybody would be doing it.
Exactly. And that like it's cool to hear your story because, I was on the opposite side of that to where, I got in, I had the trust in the people that they were going to be able to do their job and all of a sudden you find out that, the contractors' job sites are an absolute mess. It lowers the values of your properties. You have an agent who says they're doing all of this and not actually doing all of this and underwater and for me, it was you become the five people you're closest to. The person that I was spending the most time with, I didn't know was in this situation until it was too late. So now we're backtracking, and it's like, all right, we cut off everything, we shut off everything, and now we're kind of rebuilding. So it's cool to see your story about how you were kind of able to ease into it a little bit better in Ohio and really get your systems and processes down before you moved markets. So what does a typical like Tuesday look for you now? Because, obviously looking at different markets, you got to be looking at a ton of deals every day. So what does like a
Oh, yeah.
typical day look like for you now?
It's chaos. So it just depends. Every day is different. Like I wake up and I'm like, what is going to happen today? Just because I've got almost 40 rentals at this point, um, there's just
Yep.
so much chaos. And I'm training more VAs to help me because we do property management in-house as well.
Hmm.
So helping them guys, learn how to do the systems and how to basically think like I do.
Yeah.
And then that's a big thing right now. Bookkeeping, we're doing a lot of bookkeeping just because we've started this new business and down in Georgia and Tampa,
Hmm.
and trying to move to Houston next. So I'm trying to get like the bookkeeping down. I'm always taking calls from back here, like my project managers, always on the phone for that. And then our GCs down in Georgia, we use the Google photo system. So like they
Yep.
upload in real time, and then that way I can monitor their progress. So that way it's kind of like a little nanny cam, as my
Hmm.
business partner would say. And that way I know, okay, like my thing is I shouldn't have to ask, what are you doing? I should be
Right.
able to just see, okay, this is what they're doing. This is the receipt that's showing that they're picking up bathroom materials. This is where our projection is for this week. This is what draw that we're working on this week. Like I should see these things. I should never have to ask. So that's what we're working on. It's a lot of SOP building again, because we're doing it obviously from afar. I'm not able to drop in every day like I used to back here.
Hmm.
Looking at deals constantly, like every day, Zillow, instantly Zillow. I have Zillow alerts on Atlanta stuff. I have Zillow alerts for stuff back here, stuff in Tampa. So it's just constantly. When we were down in Georgia, I think we looked at probably close to 20 deals when we were down there. It was chaos,
Oh
very
yeah, just
chaos.
walk in every single
Yeah,
house. And are you
yeah,
now are you working with the wholesalers down there specifically or just on Zillow?
yeah. So it's a mixture of direct to seller, wholesale,
Okay.
and MLS.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. So pretty much a combination of everything and
Yeah.
being able to run the numbers. Are you pretty much going off the 70% rule,
Yep.
ARV 70% minus reno costs?
Yep.
Yep.
That's what most HMOs are doing. Some of them will do 75%, but
Hmm.
honestly, we're trying to squeak it down to like 65. That way we give ourselves a little bit of room because the market right now is very odd.
Yes.
It's got a very
Yeah.
ominous feel to to it right here in Ohio, at least. I'm not sure about Atlanta because we're getting ready to list ours hopefully next week, our first one. But like here in Ohio, things are just not moving as fast as they did, and things are sitting, things are just, I don't know, weird. Very, very weird.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're seeing here in the Charlotte market too. We're because my strategy is a little bit different to where I go direct to agent. I'm not even going direct to seller, and I'm kind of
Okay.
using the agent as more of a bird dog. So we're in month 4 of that now. We're officially closing deal number 2 today. So,
Sweet. Congrats.
just kind of getting that ball rolling on that. And, we've seen it's like it's going to take about 6 to 8 months for that full consistency to come in. But at the level we're doing it, I know somebody down in the Atlanta market does that strategy. He does quite a few. He probably does what, 100 a year or more. But yeah,
Wow.
I'll have to link you up with our hard money lender that we've used. They lend down in Georgia, so I'll make sure to get you his
Sweet.
information.
Any kind of
But
lender at this point, hard money, that works because we're always testing. We've got some 90, 100, some 100, 100. We've got some a little less than that, but every lender has their own quirks that we've
mhm,
found. They're never 100% the same. So
yeah,
just trying to find somebody we jive with.
I like using these guys, so I'll make sure to get you their
Okay,
information after we're
sweet.
off here. But you know, having you said you have 20 rentals now.
I've got close to 40.
Okay, 40 rentals. So, being
Mhm.
able to have that many, I talk to investors down here and they're kind of like, all right, this is when we start looking at co-living because it's easier to manage. What's the
Uh,
bigger carrot you're chasing out there? Is it door count? Is it cash flow? Like what are you going for exactly?
Um, it was 10,000 net. Then I realized that that's not enough. So then now it's like 20. And then it keeps progressively just getting higher and higher as time goes on. But I think my ultimate goal is just like an apartment complex. Like I just
Hmm.
want to be able to make enough money to like stack in the behind. And then as time goes on, obviously I can have enough for like a down payment
Yeah,
or
do you
whatever, for like an apartment complex.
Do you ever look out like 5 to 10 years in the future? This is easily my favorite question, but looking out 5 to 10 years in the future, have you ever like sat down and defined a perfect day?
I just like my main goal is to do development. That's like my thing. Like everything
Gotcha.
needs development for me. So whatever that entails, the day
Hmm.
of a developer. Uh,
That's just what you enjoy being able to do.
yeah, I just like the design aspect of it. I don't know. I think that's like my favorite. When people ask me like, what do you love doing, like about how like houses, flipping houses and
Hmm.
stuff. And it's the design part. I just like building things that are cool. You know what I mean? And like turning things that are ugly that nobody wants into something that somebody really loves. And that obviously comes from the design aspect. Like I'm taking something that is all
You know,
beaten, chewed up gum,
yeah.
and turn it into a nice little house. So I think development, I think that's what a lot of it comes from is just like the design. Because some of the stuff that people develop nowadays, like they're so cool, the way that they do modern things and like the shapes they do now and the color schemes and like the modern farmhouse. And I don't know,
Yeah.
I could talk for years about that.
Yeah. Are you talking about single family houses or like apartments and commercial spaces?
Everything. I want to
Okay.
start with single family. So hopefully my goal this year is to at least do one starter home.
Hmm.
Um, if you talk to my business partner, he'd say that's too low. But that's like my goal is to do at least one development project from ground up. And then I want to be able to get into like apartment complexes and like hotels and stuff like that, like cool things.
Oh yeah, I'd definitely say you're at that point now. Like even in our market specifically, it's like somebody will do 2 flips and then they're starting to build already just because they're
I
saying
know. I'm
it's
trying. My business partner
yeah.
keeps telling me like it'll come. It'll come. He's like my I'm like a little sapling. Like he's trying to be Yoda.
Yeah, the best is gonna be whenever you find the house that has the extra parcel or a bigger lot that you can just
That's
split
what he
and build.
says. Yep. You said that's
Yeah.
your perfect segue is to find like a find a house that you can fix up and you can do like an ADU in the back or some kind
Mhm.
of like you said another lot and where you can build a starter home on it or whatever it may be. That's your perfect segue. So I'm looking for it. Please, the home gods out there, please drop one in my lap because I was born for this.
There you go. Yeah,
I
that's
really want
super
to do it.
interesting because yeah, the more people I talk to that are flipping houses now, they're like, just start building. It's going to be so much
I've heard it's
easier.
so much easier too. It's like if I can handle doing like 10 flips at a time. We're doing way more than
Hmm.
10 flips now that I think about it, because we're doing five in Georgia alone, and I probably have a good seven or eight here in Ohio. If I can handle all of those, I feel like I can really do it. It's just finding that right. I don't want to like try to speed into the process and like, make
Hmm.
a big mistake. But like I'm trying to stay patient, but it's kind of hard to be patient whenever you want to do something so bad.
Oh, I know. I'm in the same position, so that's so cool. But yeah, being able to look out into this future, like within the next year, you said you're kind of focused on being able to do that first new build. But is there anything else that that's coming up that you're excited about?
We're just trying to do like the McDonald's franchise into different. He said like if we can master Atlanta and we can master Tampa, we can go to Houston, Birmingham, Memphis, Cleveland, Columbus. Like that's our big goal for like our company.
Hmm.
Is to keep growing. We just kind of make it a machine. Like we just plop one down, we keep going, plop one down, and then right now we're looking for a bigger project. We're looking for like a 20, 30, 40 unit value add, like heavy rehab, medium rehab, something, nothing like lipstick or anything, but
Hmm.
something that we can really get into and pull a bunch of equity out and then obviously put it into another project and keep rolling that money over and over and over again.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's kind of my goal at the end of the day too. So yeah, it'll be fun to watch your journey, Michaela. But if anybody listening that wants to connect with you, or learn more about you, What's the best place to go to?
Just and I mean Instagram right now is like the only thing. Like I was on Twitter and stuff, but like Instagram, REI Michaela _ try
Awesome.
my best to answer messages. Sometimes I get kind of busy, but
Hey,
I'll
that's a
try to
good
get
problem
back.
to have. That's a good
Yeah, I'll try
problem
to
to
get back
have.
to you.
Awesome, Michaela. Well, this has been awesome. We'll make sure to follow along with your journey, and maybe in the next year or two, we'll have you back on to kind of document, where you've been from here. So, super cool learning about your story. Go check out Michaela on Instagram. Go interact and see what she has going on to follow her journey. As for this episode, this has been Chris and Michaela on the Leadway Podcast.